Meta does change. Look at Kingzone. First round, first ban of Swain. Yukao was blind picking it. Guys, very important new information in the middle of your screen. Taliyah and Karthus, and this is all off the back of the Clutch Gaming versus Echo Fox game in the NALCS. Taliyah and Karthus can both be played, but crucially, the mid lane Karthus with Smite, with the Nunu strategy, Taliyah jungle, both of those are actually no longer available. We're still on patch 8.11 for this week, could be different on 8.12, which is what the LCS regions will be moving towards, but no Smite Karthus, no Smite Taliyah. That does actually change the meta, because now you'll know that the flex pick Taliyah won't be going jungle, could still be support, it is seen around the world, but no jungle Taliyah any longer.
Yeah, once again, we just gotta thank NA for letting that happen here. It is definitely going to change things coming on in. And
Taliyah left open.
Yeah, Taliyah's left open. That's part of the reason, right? Do they still pick it, though? Yukao, definitely one of the pretty good Taliyah picks, players, rather, and so is BDD.
I think we had the two strongest Taliyah players in this game, both Yukao and BDD, famous on the pick. And it is going to be first picked. Like we mentioned, guys, if you're joining late, Taliyah is not available to take Smite because of the bugs associated with the remake or failed remake over in NA. There's still a lot of power left on the board. Shen is banned, but Nocturne is not. Nocturne being a very big contested pick among all the top teams here. Let's also just see where the meta is at, because now we've had a couple of days for most teams, not everyone, but most teams, to see what's happening in other regions. Priorities are different all over the world. We're still not seeing a lot of marksmen or AD carries in Korea, but the Vladimir has been a power pick, and right now, two champions locked in. No Vladimir just yet.
Yeah, no Vladimir. The Rise also still left available, one of the good counter picks for that Vladimir. If you do want to try to bring it into the bot lane, we've seen a bit of AD carry Rise too. But finally, we're going to get praise Ezreal coming back here. He's already won one game on it. And perhaps after seeing Ruler's performance and watching how good the Ezreal can do, he's a bit inspired.
Ezreal Tahm Kench was the lane we were saying, guys, this is still good. This is the lane that on blue side, we saw Genji happy to blind pick and Prosper, and it's an old favorite of Kingzone. They were doing it before. Even having to think about that sort of stuff was cool. As looking on the blue side, we have a Trundle jungle most likely for Rush. Taliyah will not be going into the jungle. Now, Taliyah could be going to the support role. Mada is doing fantastically in solo queue, currently ranked 6 on his Go to California account. Not sure what Go to California is about, but it's a great name. He has played one game recently of the Taliyah support. His mechanics are fantastic. Outside chance. And now a flex Vladimir as well. Do Kingzone just lock in the Tahm Kench and then take a couple of bans for their solo lanes?
Yeah, I mean, after seeing the Tahm Kench and what it can do with the Ezreal, it certainly looks nice, but going for something like a Soraka for some lane presence down there with the Ezreal, you got a ton of poke in that bottom lane.
If you go this lane, it becomes very hard to play a bruiser lane because Soraka's so punishing against melee champions. Maybe they're just trying to dissuade a Mordekaiser, for example, and not have to ban it away. I'd be surprised if they blinded Soraka and then banned away a Mordekaiser. It does very well into Taliyah support as well because of the power of Soraka in lane. Assuming you can sidestep some of those seismic shoves. The bans begin, and getting rid of engage, always a good way to go when you're going to run the Soraka.
Just in general, taking the Rakan away from any mechanically skilled support is very nice. The Mata not going to be playing that one. Still the opportunity for that Taliyah support, as you were talking about, but can go for some bans down in the bottom lane. And let's see what else comes out here. Vel'Koz from the side of KT.
Seems like it's almost become one of those new meta picks. It's like Vel'Koz, Swain, Anivia, champions who can actually interact pretty well against bruisers. Have become bigger and bigger meta. Whenever we see Afrika, we'll talk about the Anivia, but for now it's been a bit of a unique pick for them. The picks to watch, or the picks that have been played, done by the Games of Legends guys. Bingy on Twitter, BYNJEE, tweets out every week what's been played around the world. There was one game of Anivia support. Now that's maybe a bridge too far, but Anivia is always an interesting one to talk about. Second round opens. We believe Kingzone looking for some solo laners. How about a top lane for Khan, or are they going to try and hold on to a Jace counter pick? Always wondering about that Jace when Kingzone is on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, you could think about the Jace, you could also think about the Rise for that Vladimir, but could also be in the bottom lane. A Soul being hovered here for BDD. Has played one game of that. Will be locked in. 0-1 on the Aurelion Soul so far, but still seems to be a good pick that is coming up more and more often here in this meta.
It is a bit strange to see it effectively blinded. Now it's probably against Taliyah, given what we know about the current meta. Not 100% clear, but BDD looks pretty woeful on it. His team fell behind. He couldn't roam. He was stuck in lane, and then we saw Fly give him a bit of a masterclass on the Aurelion Soul. I love seeing Aurelion Soul in the meta. And speaking of champions I love seeing in the meta, this is actually before the buff, but we're going to be seeing Smeb on the Rumble.
Yeah, was one of the big Rumble players back
Best
in the
we
day.
got, man. No Marin anymore.
Yeah, he's pretty good at the pick, and he decides I'm going to blind pick a Rumble up on the top side, and Khan might be showing up here on the Aatrox as well.
Rumble does very well in this lane early until that turning point for Aatrox. If Aurelion Soul packs up, if Nocturne helps him out, this is the sort of lane that eventually Rumble finds it very hard to enter, because Aatrox just turns on his healing, Rageblade gets procced, and goodbye. So split push, Aatrox could be a big thing, but early game, KT have a lot of options to roam up. The Taliyah and the Weaver's Wall, the Trundle ganks as well. How will they navigate a tricky lane as it evolves, but fun comps between the two teams. We do not get Marksman versus Marksman, but it will be the Vladimir versus the Ezreal for Deft versus Bray, the two legends in the bot lane.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to also look at Kingzone's lineup. They don't have any of those very common bruisers, no big tanks in the lineup.
Nope.
Just mixing it up big time here. Very glad to see, though, the best thing for me is prey on Ezreal once again. I just wanted to see someone else who's not Ruler see that performance and say, hey, this is still really good. I want to play it again. They picked it second for him, and I would expect him to pop off a bit.
I am super biased. I'm a huge Rumble fan. Smeb is one of the best, so it's happy to see it. And I thought 8-12 next week, if we do get that patch, that would herald the Rumble then. But we're going to see it today. Bit of wombo there. Hemoplague amplifying that damage from the Equalizer. Let's see how Rush does on Trundle. A little bit different to what we're expecting from him. Could gank pre-6 and make some things happen. And then for BDD, first time on the Aurelion Soul, not great. This time, going to have to step it up if they're going to be able to take down KT Rolster in game number 1.
Yep. Well, guys, we're just about to jump into game number 1 here. Tons of magic damage on the side of KT, too. Certainly a lot of magic resist will have to be built here on the side of Kingzone. And guys, the game is finally ready. Let's jump into game number 1, KT versus Kingzone. Well, the Kingzone fans have come out a bit more than the KT fans. Still very early here, right? Everybody's getting off work on a Tuesday afternoon. They're getting out of class, all that good stuff. And yeah, we're just getting started here finally for one of the best matchups we should have here.
Definitely one you circle on the calendar and say this is must-watch League of Legends. Right up there with the Telecom War is KT and Kingzone at their current power levels. In a really unfortunate matchup for KT in 2018 so far. So they're going to want to even just pick up a game victory because they were swept in the spring season. Sadly, we're going to be opening with a pause. Seems to be on the KT side of things, but we will relay any info as we get it.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be Deft, although we're getting the zoom in on Deft right now.
We saw Taliyah in the game, but guys, if you're joining us late, we've been informed, I assume Riot Korea's been informed, that Taliyah and Karthus can both be played, but neither of them can use Smite. That is the ruling after the unfortunate Echo Fox versus Clutch Gaming series and the NALCS.
Yeah. I doubt that Yukal took Smite. Not doing any kind of strategy with the Trundle, trying to get that Taliyah super fed in the mid lane. But lots of referees around Prey here means that it is almost definitely a Prey computer issue.
Kingzone DragonX selling their jerseys right now. Bit of a sellout moment, I guess, but you can get them with all these sponsor patches. Don't see that a lot with a lot of Korean companies when they sell their jerseys. Does seem like the confirmation is it's around Prey's computer.
So something wrong with his mouse cursor is the information that we got.
That's a problem.
You need a good mouse cursor.
But it seems like it might just be a Windows and League of Legends issue.
Yeah, I've had this happen to me before where you don't get the in-game mouse cursor. You get like the Windows regular mouse cursor when you're in the game. So like it's weird and it doesn't feel right.
This is before the new cursor technology comes into the game. I know I read a post about the fact they're going to be changing the mouse cursor in League of Legends as well, just to make it even more confusing. I believe that's a future patch, but yep, seems like this will hopefully just be a momentary issue. Hopefully not a lingering one. We want to get into the action and stick with it. Should be a really fun series. You were talking about it in picks and bans. We're not actually with a champion overlay, but now we have the actual champions in there. Big takeaway. You know, we have one imposter tank in Alistair. We have one pseudo tank in Trundle, who'll probably get a lot of health as things go on. Otherwise, we got some squishies.
Lots of squishy stuff. You don't get those up-in-your-face bruisers right now. We're taking a look at some of the runes here.
Not seeing anything too out of the ordinary. You do see the
on Trundle.
magic damage shield on the side of Aatrox. And a lot of junglers are messing around with Futures Market as level 1. We know that Aurelion Sol can be very, very oppressive. Takes a nice trade against Talia. Not familiar with Yukal. Big story is he was a one-trick Talia player leveling up. It's actually why a lot of pros underrated him coming into pro play, is they saw him playing Talia and said, okay, but I realize you're signed to KT, because he signed when he was 16, but he hadn't shown really any prowess in other champions. Talia was about 75% to 80% of his games. It's only till later in the piece, actually doing with Rush, from what I understand, that he showed other champions, he climbed on another account, and people said, wait, this guy's better than we realized.
Yeah, he's really good. And I love his attitude, his mindset. You were talking about how, even for a 17-year-old, his prediction to just say, like, I'm going to get a world championship. I'm going to come in here and win with score. And we're going to do it together. Even as a 17-year-old, it's really cool to see. But we'll see if he can actually get those results. Still waiting on that, Yukal.
Been a surreal thing, but a lot of our recent rookies have clearly taken notes from, you know, now 6 years of competitive play in Korea, because a lot of them are very well spoken. Chovy and Viper over on the side of Griffin, Yukal on the side of KT Rolster. All of them have plenty bold things to say rather than being awed by the big stage they find themselves on. I guess they've been preparing for many, many years.
Definitely Mata missed the cannon. Oh boy. Mata had the relic shield thing available too, but was not able to get it down there. Struggling in that lane. I mean, I was looking at the Soraka runes earlier on. She takes absolute, what is it called? Absolute focus?
Yep.
When you're above 70% health, you do the extra damage.
Extra AP, yep.
I think it's like 5 AP at level 1 or something in the tooltip. But you get the Scorch and the Area, and it's just so oppressive in that lane. It's really annoying for them to deal with.
Yeah, Vladimir's lane presence not going to be massive against double range. Kind of needs a melee champion to queue while he's trying to hold the wave, and Alistair only has an all-in option. So it is Mata, whose Alistair has drawn plenty of respect in the past. I remember famously Double Lift talking about it, 2016 Worlds, how would he dare step up on me as Alistair when Mata was popping off on the Thunder Cow back in the day. Sure, he will be looking for his moment in the bot lane, but bot lane control expected for Kingzone, top lane control for the Rumble, because even though Aatrox is looking to go aggressive, he can't against Rumble. He will lose the early trades. Aatrox needs a bit of time to get going. My kind of evaluation of the drafts is that as the game goes on, Kingzone should have an unlosable 1v1. The split push of Aatrox should be massive, and they can pack up and send a Nocturne and an Aatrox there very quickly. So that's the big win condition for Kingzone, will be side lanes. We have on the screen the match records. It's 6-6, but spring season 4-0 for Kingzone.
It had the wins actually on the side of KT, the 4-0, which was weird. That's definitely wrong. Don't pay attention to those stats, guys. We got an engage down here on the bottom side. Def going to get that Empower Q, but it might not be enough. He's going to pull on down, but Prey is on the chase, forces that flash away. And, well, that's Vladimir at level 4 in the bot lane.
That's the prank from KT bot lane. They say, we can go in. The answer is no, you can't. You've still got heal on Gorilla. No mana left onto Prey. So I don't know if he would have actually had enough mana for the last Mystic shot. But the prank is over. Goodbye, Vladimir and Alistair. You can't win that lane. Teleport on the Vladimir means he can come back to lane, but Kingzone on the front foot, as you'd expect with a draft like this.
Yeah, especially the A-Soul pushes faster than the Talia after the changes, trying to go 2v2, but Gorilla is actually going to roam first, and so UCal and Rush moving away just a bit there. Looks like the smite went to Rush, I believe. I was able to get the bigger Raptor.
Not that much experience loaded into it anymore. It seems like BDD wants his 700,000th back already, such as the Aurelion Soul. Everyone knows the feel. Speaking of backs, Sheen first from Prey. We've seen a couple of Ezreals this season do this for lane presence. We're in a lane presence meta. Vladimir eventually will get to the point where he can heavily harass down on the Ezreal. And Ezreal doesn't really want to build a Vamp Scepter early, like we see a lot of other AD carries do to deal with Vladimir and Bruiser lanes. So go for the Sheen, keep the Vladimir at low health, and then the concern for lifesteals a little bit lower.
Yeah, you can always poke from the back line if that's what he wants to do. We have an engage up on the top side. Smeb getting incredibly low, getting flashed on now. Here's BDD from the mid lane, and First Blood goes over to your mid laner of Kingzone.
Sister's there, and the all-in is always possible with the Aatrox. A calculated all-in. Was down about 10 CS because of the rough laning phase. Gets a bit of an assist, and the First Blood goes the way of the A-Soul.
I'll be interested to see how that fight actually went down. Just seemed like the Rumble got a little bit too close, and rocking that ultimate there was Khan going in for it. Knew he had the first roam from his A-Soul, and it definitely worked out for him. So good start there for Kingzone, already up about 1.3 thousand gold.
And given the outscale potential, that's the worry here, that Khan got kill involvement against a champion who does outscale him in the 1v1. So Khan in a really good spot to take over this game. He's actually sticky in the lane. They want a secondary one.
Smeb doesn't have his flash, and Nocturne's level 6 with red buff. See you later, Rumble. Can he do anything here, really? Trying to turn around, but he's being CC'd to death. Now he's just trying to get some minions on the backside even, and that's going to be another kill, this time for Peanut.
And important, it's around Peanut and Khan, who seemed completely off in terms of synergy back at MSI. So happy to see them once again on a bit of symbol of normalcy there. And Rush was backing in Vision. That's a bit of a error there when it comes to pro play. You should back away and leave the semblance of doubt. No doubt at all. Free kill for the side of Kingzone.
I mean, had the Trundle been there, I think maybe they would have been able to stave that off. But certainly, as you mentioned, in Vision, going to give that one away. And, well, that's not the best start for the Rumble that we were hoping for. Already 0-2. Has his stopwatch available now. Not sure if they calculated the timing on that, but didn't use it in the last gank.
My eyes are quite dilated right now because it's going to be a Trinity Force coming out of this Aatrox. Haven't seen as much Trinity Force Aatrox, but doesn't look like Titanic Hydra. The Rage Pass is going to help him sidestep as well. So with a squishier lineup against him, going to be a very early power spike here is invade onto Peanut.
Coming on in here, the Vladimir a little bit late on the roam, but they are going to be able to do a nice amount of damage here to Peanut. The flash on into Gorilla, knocking him over the wall. That's going to be a kill, but Mata will go down himself. Now it's just a 3-on-3 here, but BDD himself going to get low, is forced to flash down into the bottom side. It will be just a trade for supports.
1-for-1, like you say, both supports down. Flash down on Alistair and flash down on Gorilla is actually going to be relevant in both cases, given that he potentially be caught as Peanut's alone.
Okay, he's going to be forced to flash away here as Rush coming on in. There's the wish, and Ezreal from behind to the perfect stopwatch is going to keep Rush alive. UCal still has his flash, is going to go over the wall there. And unfortunately for Rush, it looked cool, but he's going to be punished for it in the end. And
Khan uses teleport to get there. Smeb's not available. So it's a 1-for-1, and Rumble gets some time. That's not a bad trade for the side of KT. We watch everything as it evolves. Peanut, very strange to walk back in after all the action. This is Mata going for his, yep, I'm finally going to engage moment. Only ends up being a 1-for-1. No ultimate available critically for the Alistair. When Soraka respawns, she actually gets an ult in. The wish was used through all of it. So more tools left used for Kingzone, and an important move for KT because this is when Kingzone were at their strongest and with top lane in such a great spot.
We got another look at Peanut just edging his way up to the blue buff. Perhaps wanted to challenge up there, but there was no chance. It was him against 3, and UCal just playing the heads maze a little bit better in there in the jungle. So
agreed from Peanut. Corrupting Potion is paying off dividends for BDD, who has found another champion he can build Banner of Command on. It's Aatrox. Sorry, it's Aurelion Sol.
Aatrox mid coming to theaters soon.
Don't you believe he would build Banner of Command on Aatrox mid as well?
No.
I do. He did it on the Vel'Koz.
We should ask him.
He's going to do it on the Aurelion Sol. I don't really want to ask him about Banner of Command. It's going to be outdated in a week, Valdez.
That's true. When we eventually get to 8.12 and join the rest of the world. But 3-0 is pretty good for your Aurelion Sol here. That's going to be one fast Banner of Command at least.
Already got the stacking on the good old item going on here. I forgot the name of it as I was thinking.
Dank Seal.
The Dark Seal. It's only dank when Singe has built 2 of them, Valdez.
Okay.
Catch up.
Interesting. I just like to call it Dank Seal all the time.
He's now double buffs and has definitely had a lot more roaming this game than the last time we saw him on Aurelion Sol. So far so good for BDD.
Seems like he's a lot more confident and he's playing really well with Peanuts together. You know, the 2 of them invading at the Raptors, the 2 of them heading up towards the top side when Khan called for the engage up there onto Smeb.
I think that's already now. We've complemented Khan and Peanut. Now we're complementing BDD and Peanut. These are important synergies. They weren't necessarily there. As, yep, Rush and UCal walking up. They can tell that they've been spotted, though, as Soraka and Ezreal quickly left the lane. Do note that Vladimir has been free farming this lane, working towards Spellbinders. KT trying to capitalize on their advantages bot side with a Drake.
Here comes Khan, though, from the top side. They're thinking about forcing an engage, perhaps? No. The Dragon just goes down and Khan heads back up towards the top side. So
nicely played by KT. They had the teleport advantage because Khan had come down previously. Khan may have been walking down, but the Drake killed quite easily and early there. Nicely done from the side of KT. Rolster got to use those little advantages because as the game goes on, we're kind of needing to see Smeb make that big equalizer and make it soon. As while Khan is not going for the build we're most used to, which is at the moment going into the Titanic Hydra Rage Blade into just seeming to not win trades, not be able to lose trades, the Rage Blade's still going to come in at some point, and that's the tipping point for Rumble when it comes to trying to take any trades in top.
UCal forgot he was playing up against Aurelion Sol, decided to throw out a Charity Weaver's Wall, saying, hello, here I am. That's about it. Peanut, though, going to be face-checking on in here, and he might just disappear, but the Wisp is enough, and the Nocturne ultimate comes in. We'll be able to do that extra damage onto the Trundle. 1 for 1 for now, but Prey in a weak spot here, trying to go onto Def now, who is going to pull away, and BDD still super strong, and Prey going to get another kill. The Hemoplague doing so much with the flash forward is going to be enough damage to take out Talia as well, and now Mata has no support. That's going to be another kill, and a solo kill in the top lane at the same time. Wow.
Okay, the solo kill and that matchup was surprising. Everything for Kingzone isn't, though. They scrimmage so well. Grella has enough points in the W to keep everybody up. Nocturne doesn't die instantly. And with the Banner of Command, they need 4 kills in a mid lane turret.
I mean, we're seeing BDD have a very weak Aurelion Sol performance at first, and then come in today, and he's 5-0-1 before 15 minutes. This guy is popping off.
But usually for that to happen, it's BDD hitting all the sidelines. The action's coming to him. This is action that KT is opting into. We mentioned they need to fight early, but you gotta dot your I's and cross your T's. They think, okay, let's collapse on Aurelion Sol. That doesn't work. Weaver's Wall's on cooldown. Not really anything on cooldown for the Aurelion Sol. It could be over, Valdez. That could be it. Could be like, all right, we tried, but KT again still want to fight. They walk up to this, they can't burst down Nocturne, and Vladimir is late to react. There's never a multi-man Hemoplague. In fact, by the time Hemoplague is used, Deft is basically dead, and they're not leveraging anything out of their bot lane as this happens.
So we're going to take a look at the solo kill up here. He's just going in, interrupting the teleports, and, well, Khan just ate way too much damage. And I suppose he did his job, but he gave up a kill for it.
He didn't realize the passive would time out, and he just straight up died because he didn't have the Aatrox passive anymore. Oh boy, Khan, what you doing, mate?
Just building Trinity Force on Aatrox.
Look, the Trinity Force is going to be fine. It's surprising. It's going to be fine, but the decision-making. Oops.
Yeah. Oopsie. And well, Prey, I asked for it. He brings in the Ezreal, and he's doing the most damage in team fights. He looks so clean on that pick. It's obvious that this guy has played, you know, thousands upon thousands of games of Ezreal, and it's super strong right now, guys.
Could be saying the exact same thing about his opponent. Both of them legendary Ezreal players, Deft and Prey.
Wow.
Flash in onto Khan. He still has his Dark Flight open, guys.
Yeah, they're looking for the engager with the seismic shove first, and it is going to be enough, so they do get that kill. To the top laner of Khan, now his second time dying today.
Very important that the seismic shove came off there as they used a lot of resources, KT, to make the play happen. Speaking of the seismic shove, do note that we see Yukal trying to exploit the new Talia passive, going Swifty Boots to have just the most map uptime possible.
Weaver's Wall comes in.
Peanut got it.
BDD coming on over. Peanut does get the Rift Herald, very important, but BDD now forced to flash away. Nice dodge there on the seismic shove, pushing forward, and it is going to be enough to take out that Talia. And now Rush moving in the backside. Nice engage there from Mata. Kind of dissuade them from engaging and get the rest of his team away here. Mata should survive, and here comes Khan over the wall, and Rush, what are you doing, mate? You're a little bit too close there. A double kill now, as Mata's sticking around for too long afterwards. And now Khan makes up for those 2 deaths.
We wondered out loud if the mental break that KT had against Kingzone and Spring will be broken, but they're already down 11 kills. They're opting into facing BDD when he's at perhaps the strongest point I've seen a champion all season this early in the game. 10 stack already. Maybe even a Medjai's will roll out after that Dark Seal's been at 10 stacks this long. Peanut gets the smite away after being able to walk up to the eye in the back. Flashes are up. The paranoia used just to dissuade, but the moment that the ultimate hits 2, Gorilla's there first. There's really nothing KT can do. And Mata's engage reminds me of some of Wolf's the other day, because no one can profit from this as again Deft is zoned away.
Yeah, and Rush and Vision here up against the Aatrox. Khan just leaps over and says thank you very much. Picks up that kill, as well as Mata, who went in. And amongst all the craziness, Gorilla in the backline. Nobody has touched the Soraka. The heals come off, the wishes come off, and all the damages as well. Soraka pick working out in bundles for them.
The hit list order is definitely in a bit of disarray for KT, because if the Wambulance, as she often turns into be, can just walk around healing. Even the silence fields were clutch at the start and the end of the fight. Kingzone are going to win all of those skirmishes. Going to look at the damage dealt charts, and well, Aurelion Sol is off the charts. Everyone else doing their bit, and sadly for the side of KT, 3 people did less damage than the Soraka. So that's bad.
Yeah, and one of them being the Vladimir as well. I suppose, you know, he just got there a little bit too late and wasn't really a factor. The Hemoplagues so far have not been good, right? It's just team fights in disarray for KT. It's not them engaging, you know, with the Equalizer, with the Hemoplagues, and, you know, 5v5 bashing them. It's just kind of one person going in, getting caught, another person, you know, going a little bit too deep. It's just not great from them.
And the first 20 minutes of this game is the sort of thing where a KT fan will log on to Reddit and say, I hate this meta. And the reason they're saying that is because they're seeing Deft walk in, play Vlad, and so far have, you would say, a negative impact on his team, really not achieving anything on the Vladimir. But there is room to be playing 80 carries or a Mordekaiser or something he has mastery on. Right now, he's not showing mastery on the Vladimir. The team is not playing smartly around their points of power. And in the end, they do look like they're just trying things they're not ready for. Meanwhile, a bit of extra time for BDD on this Aurelion Sol. Everything's coming off amazingly for the side of Kingzone.
They're definitely a team that looks a lot more comfortable so far. And speaking of which, here comes the one-on-one. Peanut going in. He does have the redemption as well, and the fear for so long kills him before even the true shot barrage can come in. Smeb never even having time to flash away from that one.
Right now, Kingzone have 4 people where if they find Smeb pushed up in a lane, they'll kill them. Only Soraka will probably have to battle a bit longer. Might lose. Not 100% sure, Gorilla. Sorry, mate. But Kingzone are really, really powerful. Smeb was always going to be outscaled. Now he's super going to get outscaled. The Aatrox pick was good if the game went long enough. The game's going plenty long. They keep pushing in every lane, and KT are all at sea.
Yeah, this is definitely not looking like the very competitive KT versus KZ we were expecting, right? Kingzone just lulling all over them right now. That's the best way I can put it. And
How did those pre-match predictions go, by the way, Valdez?
Well, I was
Could you please read the tale of the tape?
A little bit excited, perhaps, before this matchup, and that may have been my biggest mistake. Sorry about that, guys.
What was my prediction again?
You were saying 2-0 Kingzone.
I see.
Well, I mean, game one is looking good. Let's not count them out just yet, because I'm sure a lot of people are now very unexcited for KT, which might help them out a bit.
Wait, aren't you supposed to apologize now, Valdez?
I did.
Oh, that's true. That was your superpower.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention it, but, you know, just sneak it in there. But I feel like if I mention it, people would then again get excited. So, I just didn't want to push the tape a little bit.
You can't point to your apology.
It just has to happen
provoke
naturally.
excitement. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure about
now
that.
we're kind of at C-Pop, but the cast is just all over the place because the apology is no longer prevalent here. Who knows if it'll work now? You
know who is prevalent? It is Prey walking around on almost Muramana transformation and Trinity Force Ezreal.
Oh, there it is.
He's definitely pumped up at 21 minutes. Nocturne will roll in and kill most of the side of KT. Speaking of Nocturne, going for a bit of a walk on the bot side. Aatrox just going for a bit of a battle build. The Trinity Force procs into the Mormal Mortius, try to ignore Smeb and turret dive him. Speaking of turret dives.
Yeah, ignore the Smeb or go for him. Khan getting a little bit low. The Wish comes out. He's not able to finish off Smeb, but look at this. We got Prey TPing in. We got BDD making his way in. Good flash from Cal. And now Def trying to finish them off on the top side. BDD kind of all alone, but they can't finish anyone off.
The buddy system works out. It looked comical. They were far too far up the lane, and yet they all get away. KT Rolster find themselves an 8,000 gold disadvantage. As we get a pause, maybe Vladimir wondering why no one died.
He's like, I hemoplagued them, and I'm after level 11 here, so they're supposed to die. But that's just Def's inexperience on the champion for that one.
Hopefully, we will not diagnose anything that involves a chrono break or a rematch, or a match decision being awarded. We hear it's in the KT booth. Sounds like Mata has an issue.
It's a Mata issue, guys.
Whoa, we just got a very loud pen drop on the from the producer. Thank you,
It
producer.
sounded like it was on top of the mic, like literally on the head of the mic, that pen was dropped. No problem. Yeah, so something with Mata here, not sure.
He's actually pointing to his op.gg. He's like, no, I'm ranked 6. Like, I'm actually
supposed
good.
to win this game.
I'm actually really good.
Don't pay attention to my score in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still a good support player.
Well, I don't think anyone would take away that Mata is a good support player. He's up there as one of the best of all time.
I would say he's a great support player.
Whoa, that's some strong language.
I know, we're
You know
pushing
me,
it a
I'm
bit.
very judicious about my language choices, so maybe if I see another game and he does well, I'll be results-oriented and say he's great, but right now he's just good. Sorry, Mata.
Yeah, this game gets a solid C+ from me.
It's about 8 out of 8 for me.
Yeah? Wow, that's pretty high. What happened to just good?
Well, for KT Rolster's side, it is, it's kind of been how KT versus Kingzone goes. Maybe this will be the new kind of weird scenario. Is we're going to get a look into what actually happened, the tale of the tape, because it sounds like it's actually around what happened with Mata's character. Watching the replay here. Let's see what happens with Mata.
He recalled, now he's running down towards the bottom side. Maybe he tries to go for...
Mata walks up.
And engage.
Probably wants to headbutt pulverize someone. Maybe control of character. Oh, apparently he couldn't path to where he wanted was the problem.
But it didn't affect anything.
I mean, his flash is up, so he could definitely make some sick engages if he could have pathed where he wanted.
I suppose he doesn't see everything that we see, but all of Kingzone had already disengaged, so... There wasn't much that the Alistair could have done, but I understand why he's like, hey, that's not cool.
Bit awkward, because what if they were able to find out that he... It's like a weird scenario where, like, if he can't control his character and they can't tell him what happened with the rest of the champions on the enemy team, it'd be pretty hard to rule there. It sounded like we got an update, though.
Yeah, they said that... So Mata, after the Talia wall went down, he still couldn't pass the area that the Talia wall passed.
Oh, the pathing kind of issue there.
So Talia comes in and provides us with another fantastic bug.
But we don't say pathing issue, sadly. It's just an in-game issue on the screen right now.
Yeah. I like how the game is not capitalized, too. It's just in-game issue.
I'm glad that we had the Jinx moment on there.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. As you can see, tail of the tape showing you that Kingzone is very far ahead in this game. 8,000 gold lead.
Where's the Scuttle Crab counter here
I
on
know.
this one? We got to know how far ahead there are in Scuttle Crabs.
But then everything else has to be smaller because we need the full-sized 3D model of the jerseys. I really do like the jersey models.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Talia's in the game, so of course everyone's triggered because it seems like every game bug recently happens with Talia in the game. Interesting fact, Talia in EULCS, NALCS, LCK, LPL, and LMS is undefeated, either 7-0 or 9-0, one of those two numbers. So that's a pretty high power level. Maybe it'll go down a little bit because of the fact she can't be jungle, at least in Korea and China for this week, but...
Yeah. Also, she might get her first loss today.
That's true.
If KT does not pull it back into this game. Not looking very likely, guys, to put it just very straightforward. Down 4 turrets. Very high amounts. 8,000 gold down as well.
Will Yukal pause the game later and say, but I have Talia. I thought we had already won.
I'm supposed to win, guys.
Well, seeing Prey on your screen, everyone seems a bit quizzical, trying to understand what's going on, especially in the Kingzone booth, of course.
What would you describe the color of his hair as?
Autumn, maybe?
Autumn? Really?
Yeah.
Isn't autumn like like a,
maybe
a browning leaf color?
Well, you asked the question, so clearly you have a thought. Where would you be going for?
I don't know. Green?
What do you think he asked for at the hairdresser?
You know, it's kind of like some orange-green combination. It's not, maybe it's not what he was going for.
Maybe not.
It's, you said autumn. Maybe he was trying to go for a summer color and it came out a little bit darker than he wanted.
Could be. I feel like we're encroaching on another Korean esports caster's territory talking about hair.
I mean,
Wolf
is out there
for that one.
Yeah.
We're at Spo TV, so I guess he's still repping in some ways.
Yeah, he's been around here in the Spo TV. Used to cast a lot of other games here with him.
Shout out to our good friend Wolf on the way back from another MOBA's big event.
Yeah.
So get back to Korea safe, please. We'd love to get back to some League of Legends safely, but with Talia involved in the game, you're never 100% sure. We're going to actually see the pathing now of our good friend Mata. Wants to get involved here. And he definitely does do a couple of side steps that seem a little bit weird.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I can see. So he's trying to path further up, and
he's trying to go down the lane.
Out.
And actually, at that time, Aurelion Sol and Ezreal were very close to the tower. So I don't know. That's a bit of a close one, actually. On second look, it's not like some of those, what do you call that, sport football? Not like some of those calls I was watching last night.
Are you going to be another one of these people that
I
doesn't
was
watch
so tilted
football
yesterday.
or soccer, depending on who you are, and then now has very strong opinions about the World Cup refereeing and also the conduct,
refereeing.
And also
it's
the conduct of some of the teams?
It's the fact that, okay, there's a lot of acting, right? It's part of the game. I understand that, right? But it's just the complaining, okay? That's the biggest thing that got to me is that every single call that happened, someone was complaining. It was on both teams at times. It was multiple players charging at the ref like, hey, what the hell, man? He kicked my foot out. I'm just like, it was disrupting the game in my mind. The fact that they were just allowed to complain that much. Papa.
See, you sound like someone who is joining in on an esport they've been away from for a while, and then instantly the balance or the fact that it looks weird and now complaining about it, because that's just the way it's been for years, Valdez. This is not a World Cup specific thing.
Not a fan.
That's fair. You can not be a fan of football, again, or soccer. I know we have a bipartisan crowd out there when it comes to the name of things. I'm kind of in an awkward spot where I grew up in Australia, and we say soccer in Australia.
Yeah.
But I'm a half British, half Australian. Obviously, it's definitely football for the British side of the thing. So given that now we also have a very large North American contingent when it comes to the English fans of this game, it's confusing, what you should say.
Yeah. I mean, It would be a lot more enjoyable to watch if, okay, there's acting, right? The penalties are sometimes very hard to call, so sometimes you can get away with a little bit of embellishment, right? Now, in ice hockey, if you do embellishment, you actually get called a penalty on. So you're not allowed to act in that sport. In football, I understand, it's part of the game, right? The penalties work a different way. It's just the complaining that got to me, Papa.
So the counterpoint to what you're saying is now if you are deemed to have done simulation, which is diving. So, for example, you're in the enemy penalty box, you have the ball, it's taken from you, and you pretend you were tripped up, that is actually a yellow card offense if it's not a penalty. So it's either a big advantage for you or a yellow card. So there is a rule around that. It's the application, if it's not going to be a penalty, is kind of a bit strange. And there also is now replay technology and stuff, so they are trying to attack that. Also, if you waste a lot of time, theoretically the time is added on at the end of the game. So they do have metrics to stop this. This is not, of course, in any way interesting to people who already know the fact or don't give a monkeys about the World Cup. But
they don't give a mundo about
this
the
is
World
why,
Cup
because
now.
I am a big football fan. They're like, I just watched a couple of games and this seems out of order.
It wasn't my first rodeo watching football. It was just specifically last night.
About every 4 years you hit the rodeo. You know, every 4 years. The World Cup rodeo, maybe.
I definitely watched it 4 years ago, and then 4 years before that as well. And outside of that, from time to time. But yeah, admittedly, not very often.
I had a lot more of a good time with Monty watching one of the games recently, being like, what's going on in the bot lane? It's changed a lot. That's something I can understand when it comes to checking in with an old esports title you may or may not have been involved in. How many years are we away before we have to explain who Monte Cristo was to newer fans? Because it's not yet. It's only been a year and a half, but
honestly, I think we're getting closer.
Because the one I struggle
to
with,
the tipping point.
My personal struggle is that I was a huge fan of Dade, and we're getting to the point where it's kind of reasonable to not know who Dade was.
Yeah, people are forgetting about.
You know what I mean? Like it's reasonable because he never played in the LCK. He only played in China for a couple years after the LCK era. It's been out of the pro scene for a while. That's a struggle for me because he was definitely a player whose ups and downs I really identify. He had a very good story when it came to his career of being the first rank 1 solo queue player to make the jump to competitive, not being able to find any success on the original CJ Entus, then rising like a phoenix on Samsung, and then falling away again. That's the problem there is now that story is so old that it almost seems like I'm pulling some dust off a parchment when I'm telling people about Dade, and that's
unrolling the dusty scroll. Yeah.
Speaking of dusty scrolls, when you were in school, did you ever weather a piece of paper, like burn it or make it look old and stuff like that?
No, actually. No, I did not.
We did that a lot in Australia. That's fun. Where you have the old parchment, it looks artificially old.
Interesting. How do you even do that? I didn't realize that that's the way. Like you could actually do that.
You can definitely artificially make paper look older. I don't actually remember the recipe to do that, but it wasn't hard. So I was in like grade 4 or 5, so like my competence level was not the highest. So
and that was probably the most interesting thing in the world to you at that moment in time.
It was so cool, Valdez.
Oh, let's look again, guys.
If we had the cursor, I don't know if they're listening, but if they could actually show us, maybe they can't because there'd be timers and stuff. If we got Mada's perspective, but seeing Mada's perspective of where he pathed to and how messed up it is, because now if you're really looking for it, you're like, okay, this pathing was certainly at least a little bit messed up.
I think he would have gotten there on time to at least engage onto BDD. And that's a big deal. You know, you get the shutdown gold, you punish them for their dive.
But this time right now is a big deal to the LCK fans because they've been asking for the LCK podcast, and that's what we're doing, Valdez. So thank you for tuning in to the pilot of the LCK podcast. We had some game rudely interrupting our podcast, but now we can get to the brass tacks. So what the people want. What would be the main topics on the podcast, do you think, for week 1? If we were doing the LCK podcast live, the meta obviously would be up there. We've talked about that enough. That's rubbish.
Yeah. Well, before we do get into that, we
sounds like Echo might be involved. Yeah.
Our boy Echo showing up once again. Hasn't shown up much in this meta.
I feel like maybe we shouldn't say it out loud because obviously there's been failed chrono breaks recently. So and Talia is in the game. So
Who knows? Maybe we do it and it's like, no, still doesn't work.
If you're joining us, guys, we do have an in-game issue right now, as the screen does reflect. Basically, Mada tried to path into a fight. His character got really confused trying to get to the fight, and now potentially corner break into before the very ill-advised dive from Kingzone happened. I assume it's just before he's don't dive. The game state doesn't really change. No one died in the dive.
Yeah.
There's more summoners up for Kingzone. I'm not sure how far they're going to rewind for this particular issue, but surely if we do have a chrono break happen, then perhaps it just will be inaction rather than the kind of ill-advised action we saw.
And then at the end of the day, is that what you want to see? Because you couldn't punish them for the dive, but if the dive never happens, then do we even need the chrono break?
And KT's like, remake, please, remake.
Yeah.
One remake, please.
You know what I think we should do? It would be very well advised is how about we just give the game over to Kingzone? Let's just call it now and just give it over to them before 22 minutes.
Okay, if you came to me, if the ref came to me, and for some reason Papa's arbitrating, and look, I do all the games, so why not me? And they said, what are the chances KT comes back? Give me a percentage. I would say 8 to 10%.
8 to 10. Wow.
That is, right now I think Kingzone outcomps them. I think Aatrox outsplits them. They are massively far ahead for 21 minutes. I think this is almost 100% a Kingzone victory. And yet, because it's so early, you probably can't award it to them. So it's, yeah, I mean, this stuff is a struggle. I only read up on it. I didn't watch the tape of the NALCS issue, but yeah, it was very unfortunate that had to happen. I don't envy any of the decision makers.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was in North America, at least they would have had the most staff on site to be able to try and reason through it. But I don't think we're anywhere near that sort of a case. We don't have any update on the chrono break or anything, guys. It's a very unfortunate issue happening here. But we'll just continue our little chat here, Valdez, a pseudo podcast, if you will. We haven't had a 1.5 hour epic yet. We've had maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, we haven't had too much time to talk, Papa. Guys, we have two
differing opinions.
Two opinions. One is chrono break. One is just keep playing.
So those seem to be the things that are being evaluated right now, and then I imagine a consensus will be reached by top men and women.
By top men. That's the name of our PD here. His name is Top Men.
That's not a very Korean name.
I mean, it's kind of close.
To be fair, the innovator of both StarCraft esports and League of Legends esports name was Crisis We, which was also a very cool name to have.
Definitely not very Korean, though.
No. That's another non-Korean PD name. What is it about these PDs? PD is, if people are wondering, PD, actually don't know what the exact lettering stands for, but it's basically program director, I guess.
I would think so, yeah. Or production director, right? The head of all the production that goes on for the show, basically.
The big boss is how we look at it. If we are told,
or top men.
If they say, Brendan, you need to talk to the PD, you do assume that you did something wrong. So the principal would be the kind of analogy for anyone at school.
Thankfully, I haven't had to do that here just yet.
Lucky you.
No slip-ups like that.
There's been slip-ups.
Big.
I've heard the slip-ups, Valdez.
Usually they're very veiled in doubt. Nobody's really sure if I actually meant what I said.
You did talk about Corky's big package a lot last year.
I didn't know that it wasn't called Big Package.
It's amazing that you
LS
thought...
trolled me so hard.
It's like, amazing that you thought that the name of his passive was Big Package.
So I play on the Korean server in all Korean, right? So I don't know the exact name of the ability. I just assumed it was package or big package or whatever. So LS comes in.
It is the package, to be clear.
Yeah, it's the package, right?
Which is already really funny.
We're on cast, and LS is like, he's like, hey, so Corky's going to go back and grab his big package. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess that's the name, because I didn't see that he was trying to make a joke. So every single time that Corky was played, and by the way, guys, if you were watching in 2017 spring, he was very meta. He was played all the time, pick or ban status, very OP. And so every single time he picked up his package, I called it the big package.
You did, and I confronted you about this, because I'm like, look, I know you're trying to find a character, persona, trying to really get people to know who Valdez is. Right? At that point, you're
slowly, not on purpose, becoming the big package
guy. Your largest bullet point was definitely that you were the big package guy.
Although I guess that's not too bad of a nickname to be known by.
There's worse ones.
Yeah.
Right now, we know that Sword, of course, is struggling with the whole Michelin Man thing going on there. I think we actually have something to a video piece that will have a bit of intrigue into that. It's going to get another replay of the Weaver's Wall incident.
Yeah. The Korean casters very seriously debating, was it
We had a very serious topic to talk about as well. I think Mata would have gotten there.
He would have killed BDD.
He had boots and mobility and flash.
He would have,
so
for sure.
He would definitely have gotten involved, so I can understand that one.
BDD was dead, essentially.
It's true. So now that you know...
And again, Baron's up, you know, who knows what would have happened after that.
So we need an official ruling on Corki and his package.
Yeah.
Now that you've had a bit more time to think about it, what other adjectives, or perhaps would you just like to stick with the main bullet, would you use to describe Corki's passive?
You want me to describe it in a different way? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying that, I mean, you could also stick to your original ruling.
What else would you call it, right? It is a pretty big package pop-up.
If right now I could give you the option to chrono break to before you first called it the big package and you could change it, would you, or would you stick with what's happened?
You know, let the pass be what it is.
Okay.
I'll stick with the big package. I'm okay with that.
All right, all right. That's good to know. Finally, we have the official call on that.
There's not many other adjectives I would have been able to use and get away with under the guise of not actually knowing what the real name of it was. The refs are leaving the booth, so maybe we got something going on. Well, I say that, but only one ref left, and the others are staying
I like how we're
there.
now commentating the background of these scenarios. Mata seems pretty nonplussed about this. He's smiling, so clearly it's not important to him.
Yeah.
Look, I can also facetiously talk about things that are on the screen.
Yeah.
He looks like a man who wants to flash pole somebody.
He loves to do that. He's been doing that a lot, very aggressively in this game.
Not to the advantage of his team just yet. I believe we probably had about 21:52 worth of podcast over here as we've been sitting here trying to wait. As Peanut's having a great time.
Everybody's just having a great time right now, I guess.
Best part of former Rocks Tigers into Kingzone was their high spirits throughout a lot of games. Definitely the sort of team you like to have a cam on and be able to find out the greatest hits of all their different jokes and songs. Famous old story was that they had to change their living arrangements when they were the Rocks Tigers in, I believe, 2015 because the neighbors complained they were too loudly singing and having a good time. So they actually had to move into a more soundproofed gaming house.
That sounds about right for the Rocks Tigers. Sad that they're all split up now.
We don't even have any Rocks Tigers in League of Legends esports anymore. The org still exists. In case you guys wonder, Hanwha Life bought the Rocks Tigers League of Legends lineup, but the Rocks Tigers org still has interest in other esports, but when it comes to League, which of course where they're most remembered, they're gone.
Rippin' Pepperonis, Rocks Tigers, League of Legends. It was a good era.
Isn't it going to be weird when they show, I know OGN does this a lot, like the achievements of the org, and it's going to say that Hanwha Life Esports has one Champions win, and you're like,
I mean,
this is so facetious.
I'm pretty sure that Spoot TV is guilty of that.
Well, I mean, where else do you put it, right? It doesn't disappear. There still has to be.
There should be an asterisk, right? It's like, hey, that wasn't actually Hanwha Life. As much as they would love to have a free championship going into their League of Legends.
It was actually a delivery to the Korean maincaster Sunke, a good friend. He's got an update. We're hearing the update. All right, so the game is going to resume, and we're going to keep going, is the understanding. But there is the chance that there will have to be a chrono break anyway. But from what we understand, first thought is continue. And I'm all for it. KT is like, wait, what? But
yeah,
that's going to happen.
It's unfortunate, but maybe given the situation, as you mentioned before, if we chrono break from before that, maybe they just don't dive. BDD just backs off immediately.
Do you reckon chrono break? Blind pick used to be a thing, Valdez.
Is this like the paradox, the time traveler's paradox coming on in? Okay. So we're going into the game, and if it happens again, like right when we get in, we're going to chrono break.
Look, I'm not 100%
So maybe we're going to see
clear.
if it's fixed, and then...
Look, guys, as far as I know, we're going to get more League of Legends happening. That's really all you guys need to know. When it comes to the exact particulars, it doesn't sound like chrono break has actively already happened. But again, not 100% clear on that. Rush is Staring on, yeah, it sounds like no chrono break, just to reiterate, but it does remain an option depending on how things go. So how about some League of Legos? Let's do it.
I love Legos. I would love to get into some League of Legos.
Did you have a big bag of Legos when you were a kid, or did you have like sets?
When I had a lot of sets, there was like a bag of extra pieces too. But the best thing was when I was a very young kid, like a little baby.
2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah. I had like a big tub of big Legos. Like
the
big
duplex
bricks.
kind of things? They weren't Lego branded, right? They were the other one, Duplo or something?
I feel like they were Lego branded. It was like big Legos.
It was the ones that you couldn't eat, I assume, for like young kids,
They were big enough that you,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I had the big bag of Lego, the hand-me-down bag of Lego from my older brother.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Those were the days. Do you reckon kids these days play with Legos, or they just play on iPads?
They get their first iPad at 2 months old, and then they just are glued to that. That's about as much as I understand. Then they're just on YouTube and Instagram all the time. All those youngins. I don't really know what they're doing.
They're probably playing Minecraft, right? And sending snaps on
Minecraft
Snapchat.
for mobile. No,
Yeah.
man, Snapchat's dead.
Is it?
It's all about that Instagram Live.
What's the latest one that's newer than Instagram? There has to also be another service.
I don't know. Too old
maybe
for that
people
one,
can tweet at us what the latest hotness is in the.
We definitely got a couple of 12-year-olds in the chat, right, guys? You can let us know what the current meta is for teenagers.
And remember, SpoTV does tell you need to be at least 12 to watch this broadcast, and no one ever. You know, age gates are 100% effective, so I'm sure everyone here is very well adjusted older gentlemen sipping on some fine wine while you're watching some fine breaks from League of Legends.
A Cuban Graves cigar in one hand.
He has a cigar back, right? I think that's fine, yes. I know SpoTV was like confused for a while there. He did and didn't have a cigar.
From time to time, he would, indulge, but not all the time.
Just like the Cookie Monster, cigars are sometimes food. When I heard that happen in Sesame Street, I was actually visibly shook. I was like, really? He's the Cookie Monster. Does cookies have to be a sometimes food for the Cookie Monster? Do we know if the Cookie Monster actually has problems with diabetes or not? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
He's a Cookie Monster.
He's not a human,
His
guys.
life source is cookies.
That's all he needs. Any type of cookies. Papa, you know a thing or two about Oreos.
That's true.
Yeah.
I did custom order some double stuffed Oreos. I don't know when I'm going to eat them. As I've talked about on Twitter, I am doing quite well on the weight loss side. But, you do get cheat days. It's not like everything has to be on point.
Yeah.
I was quite shocked by the fact that it's double stuffed with a single F.
Yeah, I know. That's a little bit weird.
Why would you brand that you have, like, it's a double stuff? I assume that's branded, right? It's probably patented that you could have.
Patented?
Wow, that's probably not the right. Copyrighted, though.
Okay.
You don't want
it's
anyone
just that
else
we don't say
to be able to say it.
We say patented. Like a patent.
Do you want to fight, Valdez?
Let's drop the gloves, kangaroo style. Just like they do down in Aussie, right?
We definitely
down under.
We call it a bit of biffo, actually.
A bit of biffo.
Yeah, biffo.
Okay. I have no idea what that means.
If an Aussie offers you biffo, don't take it.
Okay.
If they offer to glass you, also don't take it.
What if he says it very politely? Would you like some biffo?
He's trying to trick you up with his accent, man. Don't trust him. Don't do it. Atlas is guilty of that.
I'll be careful.
Don't do it. Stay away.
Have you ever been offered biffo by Atlas? I assume that happens from time to time, just as like a thing that Aussies do together.
We definitely use off-color language that isn't broadcast sensible quite a lot. So probably yes. I know.
Okay.
I think I've offered him a bit of biffo in the past. He didn't partake, but
has he offered to glass you and then like give you a fine glass of whiskey or something?
We're both
I assume
aware.
that's the way it works, right?
No, glassing is bad. I don't recommend it.
Okay.
You wouldn't offer to glass a friend. Put it that way.
Okay.
It's more. You would offer it to someone who perhaps you weren't a big fan of.
Okay.
And then if they agreed to it, then you'd be in an awkward situation where perhaps glassing could get you in a lot of trouble.
What if you're not a big fan of BBQ? Would you offer to glass them?
No.
Oh, okay.
My visa status actually precludes me from glassing people.
Okay, that's good.
I
No, yeah, generally you don't want to glass people. You might get kicked out. of the country.
Well, we've been kicked out of this cast. It's the problem here. We're just chilling while, unfortunately, and see, this is kind of the upsetting side is that the players are also kind of experiencing through this. They're not even having a happy, fun time like us. They're just kind of struggling, trying to remember the game state of where it was. Obviously, in the Kingzone side, not probably fully understanding the situation. So
Def forgets that he's not playing an 80 carry. He's actually playing Vladimir.
His choice, man. I think 80 carries are underrated. They're not fantastic. They don't win every non-meta matchup. But, you know, the S rule's coming, and they made their decisions. So we're just...
Yeah. Saw some hot fixes.
You said that very hot fixes.
Yeah.
Not
hot fixes.
Yeah. I don't know. Did they hot fix that much?
I think Stormrazor got
for 8-12.
Movement speed buff. Yeah, for 8-12. Nothing just yet.
It's kind of actually like a change that's being made with competitive in mind, because if they hot fix it, they can just roll in the hot fixed version for LCS, I would imagine. That's how hot fixes usually go. But I would love to see some hot fixes to allowing some.
You got one on your screen right now, Papa.
He was voted the center of the LCK, which from what I understand is both most famous and most attractive. So Prey is a very popular man. I saw a post on Reddit that posited him as the Korean I'm a Cutie Pie, and I wasn't sure what that meant, but I think it's just that he's a very good streamer, and that's the big takeaway there.
Just about that. Does he wear white T-shirts too when he streams?
You know, I don't actually watch the stream that much. Unfortunately, it's not on Twitch, so getting through a Freaka TV as a global fan is tricky. So I haven't watched that many. I've watched a few, and he did stream on Twitch a little bit, and he was very entertaining and could also interact with the English chat because English is quite good.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak English to me openly because I think he's just, I don't know, he's trying to dodge me on that. Gorilla speaks a lot more English to me than he does, but he is definitely a character. It will be a sad world when we eventually will no longer have Prey in the league. It will happen, I imagine, at some point if the game keeps purring along.
Yeah.
But
purring along.
Yeah, that's right. We're purring along. P-U-R-R-I-N-G.
Okay.
Like a cat.
Like Rengar?
A were
like
kitty.
Italy? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you specified a cougar and a were kitty, but yeah, pretty much.
Close enough.
On your screen, we have Khan. I spoke to him after MSI ended at the after party, and I said, will you learn Ornn for summer season? And he said, yes, definitely. He's already played Mundo, so we're closer and closer to the second ever competitive game of Khan on Ornn. I know it'll come eventually.
So, guys, we have a bit of an update here. I know you guys are waiting, sitting with your resident sleepers there in the chat. So they tried to just go back into the game, unpause it, and see if he can do correct movement. And the answer was no. So, actually, looks like we are going to have to go ahead and chrono break the game eventually here.
From what I understand, chrono breaking actually takes a while, too. I don't think it's an instant thing. I think you just revert the state. I've never seen it happen in front of me.
Yeah.
The most interesting League of Legends thing I've had happen in front of me is when there was a pause. There was the pause timer back in the day, right? It was 30 minutes. As it got lower than 30 minutes, because we were, Pacer Time and I were doing the production for games years ago. This is like 2012. When it gets to, I think, below 5 minutes, it gets really red, like goes red.
Yeah.
And then we actually had it once where it went under 0. It gets negative. There is negative time.
I thought the game would just automatically start.
You would think.
No.
That's what I thought originally. I think maybe that did happen, but eventually, I also thought if it wasn't going to do that, it would just go away. But no, there was negative time, which was also in red and just very scary because the idea of negative time is quite concerning.
Yeah.
So that was what I observed through that. That is like the random fact I know about League of Legends. That a lot of people have had to deal with a 30-minute spectator pause, but that does happen.
Well, we're sitting here.
21 minutes into our currently 65-minute broadcast. Actually, no, 75 minutes. We started at the 50, 10 minutes before the time. So maybe this is what negative time feels like. We're not sure.
I certainly feel like I'm spending negative time here.
I'm having a great time because I'm talking to my mate Valdez. What's going on?
Yeah. You want to know one of the strongest bot lanes I played against recently?
All right, solo queue stories. Apparently, we've gone there.
We have gone there. Wait, hold the phone. Maybe not.
Oh, chrono break has been started, or at least attempted to be considered.
It's attempted. They need to prepare, so we might be going into a break.
That's true.
Actually. for about 10 minutes, guys.
So it might be an extended break. You're spared the LCK podcast or being robbed the LCK podcast, depending on who